This is Jack, and this is Chapter 7, and this Chapter 7 is on gender roles. And let's see. Gender roles, first I'm going to give you a definition for sex and for gender. Sex refers to the biological, anatomical differences between females and males, while gender refers to the culturally and socially constructed differences between females and males found in the meanings, beliefs, and practices associated with femininity and masculinity. So sex is an anatomical definition here given to you, but then gender is a socially constructed definition. In other words, a sociological definition, okay? Then also understand this, this chart, this slide. I gave you already this slide, I believe, in, I don't know, the first couple of lectures, right? And this slide is great because it shows you society and how it adjusts or tries to make sense of, gender in terms of this chapter or this class, this lecture, right? Gender socialization is gathered, is taught by the socialization agents, of course, right? Family being the most influential, then education, peers, and so on, right? The order is from most influential to the least influential for most individuals, though for you it might be family and then media. If you watch too much TV or your family is condemned to watching too much TV, I don't know, maybe family and education. Maybe for me it would be more like family and religion in my case, or, it varies from people to people, but in general, most Americans would be something like this, right? Where education would be the second most influential and religion faded down the ranks over the decades or centuries, whatever, right? Decades more than centuries. Okay, so let's see. Question 1. Why is religion fading down the ranks in the gender roles that individuals play in American society? Is it due to liberalism? Well, the second question there in that first question, the last question, it's pretty much the answer, right? In my opinion, it does. It has to do with that. But check this out, okay? Let's go ahead and understand this more in depth. Patriarchy and matriarchy systems, making a comparison. According to Virginia Cyrus, under patriarchy, in other words, patriarchy would be more like following the traditional role, gender role of women, of males and females. Religion would be associated to the traditional gender role as well, okay? So under patriarchy, men are seen as natural heads of household, presidential candidates, corporate executives, college presidents, etc. Women, on the other hand, are men subordinates, playing such supportive roles as housewife, mothers, nurses, secretaries, maids, and so on, okay? So persistent gender role patterns in marriage means that women do much more work at home in the family than men do, which often leads to the relationship conflicts that American couples and families are very aware of, right? Who's going to do this at home? Who's going to do that? You don't help me. Well, I'm at work. I'm the man. I mean, these kind of problems that Americans understand very well, right? Okay, let's see. Okay, the role of woman in the evolution of society. Perhaps this slide will allow you to understand how the role of woman has been changing, from societal or from level of society or society stage. We are post-industrial society in America, right? But these are rather older types of societies, and how the role of woman has should I say evolve? Okay, I don't know if to say evolve. I'm not speaking from any given perspective. I just want to go ahead and maintain a neutral position here. Hunting and gathering societies and horticulture and pastoral societies, agrarian societies. A variable here would be economics. The economics play a big factor, right? Who's in control, the status of women, and so on. So these are levels with the stage, right? And this slide is important for you to understand, also for the final. Okay, so please study this slide very well. Gender roles in society. The expectations every society has about people's attitudes and behaviors based on whether they are male or female are rooted in biology but influenced greatly by the culture. In American society, male domination is moving towards equalitarian gender roles. Okay, so let's see. According to Talcott Parsons, he had this traditional view of gender roles. According to him, Parsons' theory of family roles assumed that men should be instrumental and women should be expressive. In other words, men should play an instrumental role and women should play an expressive role. A Gallup poll indicated that males were more often perceived as aggressive, courageous, and ambitious, life-risking and so on. Females were described as emotional, affective, talkative, patient, and creative. So these are associated to the gender roles depending on the culture, of course. And of course, going back to the, to couples conflict. Power differentials is definitely what we should talk about. Power balances. The power balance in a marriage can be characterized in four basic ways. One type of family may be where the husband is dominant. Another one may be where the wife is dominant. Then a syncretic pattern would be where both share the authority. An autonomic pattern would be where both share the authority but in different areas, right? So these are good to go ahead and study. If I had to had a live forum, we'd go ahead and discuss these patterns in groups, right? But because we don't have that, then we can't go ahead and do that. But it would be good to discuss these patterns of power balance, right? And three factors that definitely define or describe the who has the power. In other words, who's in control, let's just say, is how much money you earn, educational level or success, and then also occupational prestige. Your title, what do you do for a living? Not only what you do for a living, how much you make, but also the level of education, definitely, right? So, these are good to study, and also for the test, remember, okay? You cannot pass the test without studying these lectures. This is the way I set it up, okay? So let's see. Then we also talk about resistance to equalitarianism. Resistance to equalitarianism, then we are then putting men in the hot seat. They're the ones that are not able to adjust to the modern role of keeping, not keeping, but assuming an equal role to women at home. Okay, so here are 5 concerns. Concern about unfair division of housework is a concern of women, right? Okay, and this is one of the reported issues most common in married couples in the role relationship that both play. Housework based on traditional roles, husband not willing to adjust, woman too involved in housework, lack of working to maintain an equal relationship, and so on. Okay, so resistance to an equalitarian system may indicate that males prefer traditional family settings than modern family settings. Perhaps that's the reason why we should go ahead and say, we could go ahead and, we're making only an assumption right now. I cannot take a side here. I have to play a neutral role, but definitely, that perhaps males are the ones that do not want to adjust to this modern family setting type, right? They want to maintain traditional family settings. The fact is that Mexican-American males, African-American males, and American Indian males, as well as white males, men have often been dominant in their families, but of course there's signs of change, and that they're changing towards equalitarianism. Okay, so let's see. Here are some theories that I believe some of them were discussed before in previous chapters. I'm just going to go ahead and leave these for you to study more in depth. Just go ahead and read them. Perhaps you could go ahead and make links to your text or search for these online. I don't know, okay? But, go ahead and study these, okay? Don't forget that we're going to go ahead and also discuss Essay 2 in a couple of minutes, okay, if not seconds. Okay, so we're over with the chapter. Now we have to discuss the essay. The sociological trend, Essay 2, let's go ahead and go in a timeline, okay? 1940s, pre-World War II, we had a lot more traditional family settings back then. Then in the 1960s, 20 years later, equal rights movement, right? And then also between the 60s to 70s, we had a great deal of the remarriages, and of course media, with its favorite TV show, The Brady Bunch, was able to reinforce that as a value. It was nothing wrong with that. People should go ahead and get remarried. And of course, altogether, the behavior continues to escalate. Make note of something, and it's not coincidental. Make note of something, that those children left behind in the 1940s without a father in World War II, because men had to go abroad. Those same children were those children of the 1960s, those young teenagers and young adults. That's kind of coincidental. Okay, 1970s to present. Single parenthood has emerged, right, more as a phenomenon, and then institutionally speaking, the system has been able to go ahead and provide foster family agencies for those children that are left homeless and so on, right? Then also understand that in the present time, people practice or prefer cohabitation over getting married, but also understand that we have statistics to that point out that people are divorcing more than what people are marrying every year, and also cohabitation rates and children born out of wedlock rates, okay? So all that is important for you to understand that it's a phenomenon going on. Now, question, do you agree or disagree that liberalism is the cause or the main cause? Explain your position. You could go ahead and discuss if you agree from a social, cultural, or political perspective, or if disagree, you go ahead and explain that. Okay, thank you very much for your time. This is Professor Jack. Bye-bye.